We're going to take you on a tour of Stockholm, featuring a detailed look at how to spend 3 days in this beautiful city. Something special is going on in this Swedish capital. Scandinavians are often considered to have the world's highest standard of living, with Sweden occupying the top of that happy ranking, and Stockholm is sometimes considered the #1 city in the world in which to live. So it figures there are many wonderful things for the visitor to enjoy in Stockholm, a city created by a society that truly cares about people. They really believe in quality of life and have built a place that is one of Europe's truly beautiful capitals. Stockholm is some kind of urban utopia. So let's go find out what makes it so special. Stockholm offers a magical blend of efficiency and beauty, romance and common sense, all working together to make your visit extremely rewarding. You'll enjoy some great food while you're in Stockholm, and we're going to take you on some fascinating walking tours. It is modern, yet offers some of Europe's best preserved historic neighborhoods, with an atmospheric mix of ancient cobbled alleys, 17th century buildings, and contemporary shops. You are going to love it. You can easily keep busy and have fun in Stockholm for 3 days, but you should plan your schedule so that you cover the best things first. As usual when you travel, it's a good rule of thumb. The most worthwhile activities are a walk in the Old Town, of course, and take a boat ride around some of the city's 14 islands, visit the reconstructed historic village of Skansen, tour the Royal Palace and the best museums, check out the modern downtown, and walk along the great pedestrian promenade of Drottninggatan. In your first day, a good way to start is with a visit to the Stockholm Information Service, right in the heart of downtown on Kungsträdgården, across from the huge NK department store. It's an extremely helpful place where the friendly, knowledgeable staff can fix you up with everything in one spot. For discount travel, you can purchase here a 3-day transit ticket, good for the metro, tram, and the bus lines in town. Or for a more expensive comprehensive option, you can purchase the Stockholm card, which covers admission to nearly all the museums, rides on public transit, a free 1-hour boat tour, discounted bus tour, and other benefits. You can get it for 1 day, or for 2 days, or for 3 days, the Stockholm card. Walk a few blocks to the docks in front of the Grand Hotel for a short boat tour this morning. A great way to learn some history while gliding through this city of islands linked by bridges and canals. After the boat tour, you want to go explore Gamla Stan on foot. On this first afternoon, dive into the most interesting neighborhood, the old town of Gamla Stan. The cobbled alleys, the medieval city center, the narrow, twisting pedestrian lanes of Gamla Stan are lined with superbly preserved old buildings, which hold some very modern stores, so you can enjoy this historical experience while you're shopping. It is the most fascinating place in town and is a prime reason for coming to Stockholm in the first place, so have a good look around. They just don't build cities like this anymore. Gamla Stan has been a place for commerce since the 12th century, when it was first settled as a trading center. Because of frequent fires that kept destroying the old buildings, they were originally built out of wood. Most of the handsome buildings that you see now were built of brick and stone in the 17th century, when Sweden was one of the strongest nations in Europe. In those days, Sweden was more powerful than Russia, and this island was the center of the country. On Gamla Stan's northern edge, you can visit the Royal Palace, one of Europe's largest and most elaborate. Arrive in the courtyard just before noon for a good position to see the spectacular changing of the guards, which begins daily at 12:10 p.m. or on Sundays at 1:10 p.m. The highly decorated palace interior is typical of what you find throughout the continent's extravagant royal mansions. And before even reaching the palace, the band marches through downtown on a mile-long route that starts at 11:30 near the NK department store. So on another morning, if you were in that shopping neighborhood, look out for them. The main activity in Gamla Stan is to simply walk, people watch, and then shop along the fascinating shopping lane, the Vasterlanggaten, lined with amazing variety of little places to spend your money. You would also enjoy a wander into those little side alleys, exploring past centuries frozen in stone. It's much quieter a block or two from the main shopping throngs, and there are an abundance of small pleasures to be found in the details of buildings, gardens, and older shop fronts. Yet another example how you can step away from nearly any major tourist attraction anywhere you go and discover a more peaceful, authentic, nearby surroundings. There is so much rich atmosphere to absorb in Gamla Stan that we suggest you return for another few hours later in your visit, perhaps on the final day. It's just a great place to hang out and offers an excellent opportunity for that most advanced travel technique, get lost. When you let go and just wander, you can begin to get a feeling for a place that no organized itinerary can match. And since you are on this small island, you won't be lost very long. When hunger strikes in Gamla Stan, try the series of ancient restaurants behind the 13th century cathedral on Skamkagaten. Now, if the weather is mild, you can sit outdoors, or perhaps you could have a traditional meal in their medieval barrel-vaulted cellars, which were storerooms 400 years ago. You must see these ancient basements, even if you were merely passing by looking for a restroom. Here you really step down in time as you venture below street level into another world. And the restaurant won't mind. You just walk in, ask if you can look around, take a look downstairs. They'd be happy to show it off to you. Alternatively, pick from the charming outdoor restaurants that line the Stortorget main square of the Gamla Stan, overlooking the historic Bors stock market. Gamla Stan is the only part of town where stores remain open late at night, and so you will have time for browsing and shopping after dinner. That wraps up the first day in Stockholm. You've had plenty to see and do, so get a good rest and get ready for day 2. You could start your second day in Stockholm with a couple of outstanding history museums that you would really enjoy, the Vasa and the Nordic. You will want to see the 17th century wooden warship, the Vasa, which was briefly the world's largest battleship until it tragically sunk on its maiden voyage in 1628. It was top-heavy with hundreds of wooden statues. You can see them all because the massive ship was rescued from the deep 20 years ago and put on display here. It all looks brand new, with many related nautical artifacts and friendly, knowledgeable guides who lead frequent tours of the exhibit.
The Swedish king wanted to have the most effective navy, and in 1628 the Swedish navy consisted of about 5,000 seamen and soldiers and 30 warships. The Vasa was probably later going to sail from Stockholm to the harbor city Gdansk in Poland, where she was going to block the harbor with other Swedish warships and prevent Polish warships from sailing out on the Baltic Sea. And the Vasa only sailed for 20 to 30 minutes until she sank. And we don't really know exactly why she sank, but modern calculations tell that the Vasa was a very top-heavy ship. She was heavier further up with all of her cannons, masts, and so on, as she was in her lower sections. The Vasa had 2 gun decks, whereas the other ships only had 1, and the gun ports were open. If they would have been closed, maybe the water would never have gushed in, and maybe the Vasa could have had the possibility to right herself up again. So as the water started to gush in, she of course became heavier on her port side. The ballast mostly consisted of stones, which were put in the hold to add stability to the ship. But obviously the Vasa had too little ballast. Or maybe she even had the wrong type of ballast, because the stones that were put in the hold were quite rounded. So maybe they should have been more angular, so that they wouldn't have moved around so easily. Behind you can see some original ballast stones from the Vasa under the model, and you can see how rounded these stones are. We mustn't forget that the Vasa is a well-built ship, and her construction is normal for warships of her time. It was quite common that the ships in this time was quite unstable, and that they also sank. The shipbuilders in the 17th century didn't really know how to make mathematical calculations of stability, and they didn't do any drawings as they built the ships. Most of these men survived the accident, but about 30 to 50 people died. Everyone couldn't swim, and some people maybe got stuck here under gun carriages and so on. She sank just outside the amusement park here nearby, Gröna Lund, just nearby the Vasa Museum. And it is about 30 meters deep there where she sank. So you could actually see the masts above the water's surface.
Well, you not only get to have a good look at the Vasa and its remains and its contents, but this museum gives you a well-rounded view of life of the sailor in particular back in the 1620s in Sweden. And also you gain some insight into the life of the sailors who were on board, what happened to them, who survived and who didn't. They've got a number of multimedia displays. There's a movie that tells you all about the salvage, and there's a multimedia presentation about different aspects of the ship's history. And these are all original artifacts restored to their pristine condition. The researchers are still cataloging and studying the artifacts. You can also grab a snack or even have lunch while you're at the Vasa Museum. They have a very nice cafeteria. You can have a sandwich indoors or sit out on their terrace as well. It's quite a grand structure built specially to house the ship. When you are finished here, walk 1 block over to the Nordic Museum, the largest collection of Scandinavian artifacts in the world. They have tons of history on display, including folk art, handicrafts, furniture, table settings, clothing, interiors, and a variety of changing special exhibits. Their cafe features a fine salad bar, or hold off eating if you can until the next stop.